Hello and welcome to the Cleft Mama podcast. This is a supportive space for families navigating life with a baby diagnosed with a cleft lip and/or palate. Here we share real experiences, practical guidance, and conversations with parents and professionals to help you feel informed, supported, and less alone. I'm your host, Anja Paunel, and I'm excited to get started.
Hello, I'm so excited to have my first guest on my podcast today.
It's the lovely Charlotte Hall, who is also a mom of a child with cleft. So welcome, Charlotte.
Hello.
I came across Charlotte on Facebook because she has just written a book, Lily's Super Smile, and is organizing a book launch event as well. So I want to find out everything about that. But before we dive into that, I first want to know, who were you before you had your child who has a cleft?
So I was just a pretty normal mum, to be honest. I already had 3 daughters. My oldest was around 9 before I had Lilac. And I also have a set of twins who are 5. So yeah, I was just a normal, typical, busy mum. But I also felt like I was kind of stuck in a cycle, a routine. Life was pretty monotonous at the time, just doing what I needed to do to get by.
And then you fell pregnant with your 4th child.
Yes, we were diagnosed with the cleft at our 20-week scan, and I noticed them hovering over her face for a little bit. And I've had quite a few scans, so I can see pretty clearly what they're looking at the time. So I kind of knew there was something not quite right with her face. And then they just came out and told me and said, "Oh, your daughter has a cleft lip. We're not sure whether it affects her palate, but you will need to be referred to fetal medicine." So I just completely broke down, thinking, why me? Why her? Worrying about the things that would affect her. Would she hate me? Is this my fault? And I just couldn't believe it. I did not go into that scan expecting for something like that to pop up. I don't think people realise how important that 20-week scan is for detecting things like that. You just think, oh, I might confirm whether it's a boy or a girl. And it's not just that. Yeah, so I was really, really shocked. And it kind of began a little spiral of sadness, which lasted a couple of months, where I couldn't quite get my head around the fact that it wasn't just going to be the normal plain sailing pregnancy I thought it was going to be. There was going to be more appointments, more worries, different teams being involved. And yeah, it was just all around really concerning.
And had you heard of cleft lip before? Did you know what it meant when they told you?
I did know, but I didn't know a lot about it. I'll be really honest. From an outside perspective, I just thought it was a gap in the lip. I didn't realise it could affect the palate as well. And I thought they just fixed it with an operation and it didn't really affect any other parts of the life other than aesthetics.
Yeah, this was definitely the same for me as well. What has your journey been since then?
And the pregnancy, I was really quite sad, and I do look back and really regret it now because I don't think I celebrated enough as I should have. Because the minute I had her, although the birth was really, really hard, considering she was my 4th, she was just everything that made the world go round. She was literally the light of our lives the minute she came into the world. There wasn't any worry. As soon as they put her into my arms, the worry was gone. I just felt so happy. Slightly more overprotective than I normally would have been, but she has brought nothing but happiness into my life. I didn't realise how hard it would be to keep on top of the weight. We did struggle with a weight up until probably about 4 or 5 months. There was times that I really cried my eyes out because I just couldn't get her to gain enough weight. But other than that, I feel like her newborn bubble has been absolutely perfect. Aside from the appointments, aside from the worries about the surgeries. She's such a lovely baby and she's got the most beautiful smile I ever saw. Honestly, I was so proud of her and I just showed her off to everybody that I could have.
And the difficult birth that you had, was that related to the cleft or was it completely unrelated?
Completely unrelated. Honestly, I've had twins naturally and I've never had a section before, but I was begging for one during this birth. It was really, really difficult. She ended up a forceps delivery. She wasn't a particularly big baby. I just think she was really comfortable. She wanted to stay there. And to be honest, she's never far away from me now. She's clung to mummy. Mummy's her favourite person. All my other girls are daddy's girls. They don't really cling to me too much, but Lilac, yeah, completely mummy's girl. The birth wasn't easy. The recovery after wasn't great too, obviously, as you can imagine. I expected to sail through it. I don't know whether I was being overconfident and it was a bit of karma, but it really shocked me. She was out of the hospital within 2 days, completely healthy. She was a right chunky baby. She had some chubby cheeks. The minute she came out, I got my bottles all sorted. I went into the hospital with a Dr. Brown's bottle, a Haberman bottle, and a mam squeezy bottle. And because the palate was involved, the mam seemed to do the job for us because I could control the flow of the milk going into her mouth. And it took us a good few tries, and I was slightly overwhelmed at the time. But the infant feeding lead at Good Hope Hospital was really, really supportive. I hadn't seen the Cleft nurse because I had early hours of the morning. So we spent the first day trying to figure it out between ourselves, as I didn't want her to end up being tube fed because of something I'd done. So I really kept at it. And she did take the bottle in the end. She started taking the feeds. So by the time the Cleft nurse come in, we was able really to just confirm she was okay. She was drinking and we were discharged.
Oh, that's good. So she had a good start then. You did mention, though, that up to about 5 months, you had some difficulties with Lilac gaining her weight. So what had shifted then? Or did you have any advice on what would have made her gain the weight better earlier on?
Yeah, so I think there was a confidence issue with myself. I think because I was so used to her sort of being told by the health visitors that she wasn't gaining enough weight, I wasn't squeezing as hard on the bottle as I should have been, to be honest. I think I was always a bit worried to give it a good squeeze and quicken the flow up. Also, she seemed to be using more calories trying to feed than she was actually taking in. So I think that was also part of it as well. She used to take so long to feed. So once I'd established and got comfortable with the bottle and how hard I had to squeeze, etc., she was just getting really tired really quick, going to sleep. It was hard to keep her going. And sometimes it'd take me up to an hour to get a 5-ounce bottle down her, which isn't great, again, because of the energy they are using to feed. So in the end, our Cleft nurse helped me get a prescription for infant training, which is calorie milk. So we used that then to pack on the pounds so she was able to go in for her surgery. But it was quite an upsetting time, to be honest, and it wasn't something I thought would be an issue because I got to take the bottle in the hospital. I thought, oh, that's it now. That's all I needed to do, but it's not. You really have to focus on the feeds. It's not like with a baby that doesn't have cleft. They're in your arms, they're feeding, and that's that. You really have to concentrate. And honestly, it really hurts your hands sometimes. I've got such a strong hand now. I could grip anything.
Yeah.
What milk did you use before that?
So I tried my best to express anyway. So she had quite a few syringes of colostrum. I found it really difficult to establish a supply. We did have an express machine and I tried everything, but it just began to be really painful and a really slow process. And it's not something I haven't struggled with before. I've really struggled to get my supply in last time. So we was doing part breast milk with part powder milk, but it just wasn't enough calories at the time. So then we switched to a Kendamil with 1 to 2 calorie feeds a day. And that seemed to bulk her up then. So she was at least following a line. She may not have been on the same centile that she was on when she was born, but she did follow a line from then on.
That's good you got there in the end. For anyone who's interested on the bottle topic, I also have another episode coming up on bottles specifically, because the ones we get provided by the Cleft teams are not the only ones that you can use. So we've actually used a free flow bottle for our little boy, and you don't have to squeeze. It's literally free flow and it fills the baby up quite quickly. So that might be an option to look into as well. So look out for that episode coming up, because you might just want to try different types of bottles and see what's the fastest way to get the baby full.
Honestly, that's a really good idea, because before Lola had a palate surgery, obviously she was unable to suck. So she still didn't have the ability to use a typical bottle. And the man bottles were becoming really quite painful on my hand. And she wanted to feed herself. You know, you can't stop the babies once they want to pull it away from you, etc. So we got a trainer bottle from Mam. So it had handles on and it was free flow, and you were able to change the teat from a sippy cup teat to a bottle teat. So it had a similar shaped teat to the Mam squeezy bottles. And she would put that in her mouth and bend the teat so the milk would come flying out. And yeah, the Cleft team was like, is she drinking out of a normal bottle? Yeah, she is. But she seemed really comfortable with it. So before she could even really suck, she'd figured out how to use the bottle to her own advantage. And it came out a lot quicker than the man bottles too. So when she was older, that was definitely a plus that she figured that out.
Yeah, no, babies are very intelligent. You don't give them enough credit. They can figure out what they need to find out. Yeah.
She's a strong-willed little lady, I'll tell you that.
Now thinking about her surgery, so she had her lip closed at 5 months.
Yeah, she was about 4 or 5 months when she had a lip closed. Really difficult, to be honest, in terms of recovery and myself. We'd been practicing to cover Lilac face beforehand. I thought, I want to try and prepare her for everything so she's not taken unawares. I don't want her to be afraid of things that are happening. So we were using the mask off her sister's inhaler to just pop it on her face, and we was making a game out of it, like peekaboo. So when she was put to sleep, that went absolutely fine, because she was used to something being on her face and it being a game. That part was fine. So I thought, oh, okay, that's one worry off my list. So after pacing the hospital, I think it was about 4 hours she was down. She came back and my brain instantly didn't recognise her. And I think that was the most awful feeling I have ever experienced, because she was everything to me and now she looks really different. And I don't think that's spoken about enough, how you get so bonded to a baby and they come back from this surgery and they just don't look like themselves. And I think it took me at least 2-3 weeks for my brain to register that that was my child, and it was horrendous. I felt so torn, I felt guilty. But yeah, it sounds completely ridiculous, but everything looks so different. So yeah, recovery wasn't easy on the lip repair. It seemed to take a good few weeks. I was feeding her from syringes, and it was really tough on her, especially with her being so young. And I completely really sympathise for people that are going through it. It's something you don't expect. I think people are slightly blasé about it if they haven't been through it. You know, it's just the lip surgery, it'll be over soon, she won't remember. But I don't think they think of the struggles you get, the lack of sleep, the nightmares. It can be tough. I cannot pretend it's all sunflowers and rainbows. But once she'd bounced back from that surgery, it was like nothing had ever happened. So you can relax a little then. With the palate surgery, because she was older and she realised, oh, I don't know you, you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. She was 11 months old. I was absolutely desperate for her to have her surgery before 12 months, because I was going back to work. So I thought, oh, if she ends up having a surgery just as I'm going back to work, and she did, I had to take like annual leave on my first 2 weeks of going back to work. So she was really panicky with that one. She really did not want to be put to sleep. Again, she was down for a similar amount of hours, but she was really upset when she woke up again, and understandably so, of course. But because she was pretty aware by then that she didn't know any of these people around her, it really threw her off. The first couple of days were tough in the hospital, getting her to eat. She point blank refused liquids for days. I was putting liquids into her food just to get something down her. But within a couple of days, considering I thought it might be similar to the lip repair op where she took a couple of weeks to recover, it was like nothing had ever happened again. Within maybe a week tops, she was absolutely fine. She was not happy with the soft food diet. She really wanted something crunchy. She loves a crunchy snack. She was in her hands out for any bit of cucumber she could lay her eyes on. She really likes cucumber. But she couldn't have it, of course, because it's a soft food diet for a couple of weeks. And yeah, the recovery was much easier, although the process of the actual surgery was more difficult because she was so upset. I was relieved that she recovered so quickly.
And did that all heal nicely and there are no fistulas?
She did have a fistula, but when we went back for her after-operation check with the surgeon, it seemed to have gone. Although we still get food coming out of the nose, and we're not entirely sure how or where it's going to come out of the nose, the fistula does look completely sealed. So I think we're in the green there.
And I think you said she can create a suction now, so she's able to suck the bottle.
Yes. I don't think I've realised how emotional it would make me to hear my nearly 1-year-old suck a bottle for the first time. It's something that you hear every single day when you're raising a child that doesn't have cleft. You listen to them suck the bottles. And I didn't actually realise I'd never heard it until I heard it. And I was lying in bed and I was like, throwing my eyes out because I'd never heard her suck a bottle. But yeah, it was really, really strange. Really strange feeling.
And how did the older children deal with it all, having a baby that looked a bit different and all the surgeries that were involved with that as well?
They took it in their stride, to be honest. I spoke about it a lot when I was pregnant and I really tried to portray it in such a positive way or such an easygoing way with the children that I don't think it really fazed them much when she was born. So I'd explain to them she's going to look a bit different. I'd show her pictures of other children that have Cleft. The twins were 4 at the time and were like, yeah, okay, not really bothered. I could tell it played on my older girl's mind a little bit. But when they came to the hospital to see her, my oldest, it didn't faze her whatsoever. She was, give me the baby. Absolutely in love with her from the get-go. Twins walked in and they're very no filter, say how they see it. They looked at her and went, oh, she's got a gap. And then they looked at each other and they were like, okay. And I could tell there was cogs turning in their little mind, but because we'd normalised it so much, they just said it how it is. Has to put their finger in it as well. I'd say, no, you don't put your finger in the baby's cleft, please. And yeah, they were fine. They showed her off. They showed her to all her friends. They were quite protective over her. So, you know, that you'd hear them pre-warning people as they walked over, you know, this is my sister, but she's got a cleft, but she's okay. She's got a gap in her mouth, but she's okay. And yeah, they were great. Surgeries, it does make them anxious. It makes them really anxious when she goes to the hospital. They didn't really get to see her much when she had her first operation. They didn't come up to visit. I just thought it'd be easier for them not to. But when Lilac had her palate surgery, we was able to walk around the hospital and take her for walks in the pushchair because she was dealing with it a lot easier. And they came up to the ward after school one day and they're all sort of cooing around her as they normally do. She's the baby of the family. And one of the twins sat to the side and I'd kept my eye on her because I thought, oh, that's not like her. They're really outgoing. And I asked her if she was okay. She just burst into tears because her sister's face was swollen and she could see the blood around her nose. it really, really affected her, and I didn't realise how anxious they did get until I had that conversation with them. And it was really quite sad, to be honest, because I'd overlooked it being so worried about Lilac. I didn't quite take into account their feelings as well, but lesson learned, absolutely. And yeah, I just have to remind myself to make sure they're included and the conversations are extended to those as well, because it does affect the sibling and not just the child with the clefts.
And what are the next steps for Lilac? Will she need a bone graft? Do you already know that? Have you been told that she needs that, or is it just monitoring and seeing what is necessary?
We have been told she'll need a bone graft, and they've explained the process behind it, but we've been told that it won't really be until she has her adult teeth. So we're looking at quite a long time. It's nice to have a break from the surgery, to be honest. But her future looks really, really bright. She's in a supportive household. She's loved beyond measure. I will fight for her to get the best care, the awareness. I will push and make sure everything in her life is as perfect as it can be, because she really deserves it after everything she's been through. I think she's got a very bright future ahead. It's really given me like a sense of purpose. I actually feel I'm doing something important. I think I was feeling a bit lost before I had her. Like, I didn't really know what to do with myself. I weren't entirely like happy with my life. Of course, I love my children, but I just kind of knew that I could have done something else. I've completely reevaluated myself. I'm looking into going into speech and language at work, so I'd be able to help other children with cleft. And yeah, she's completely changed my life, honestly.
So, what then prompted you to write the book?
So, last Cleft Awareness Week, I had a really new baby and I wasn't really too involved in the cleft community. I was sort of sitting on the Facebook page watching from the outside. I wasn't too confident in sticking my 2 pence in or offering my opinions to anyone at the time. And I saw that everyone had started raising money for Cleft Awareness Week. So I thought, I want to do something. I want to make a difference. So I started walking. So I did a mile a day with Lilac, either in a pushchair or in a carrier with the other girls. We'd go for a walk. We even got our local church involved and arranged walks with different people, which was really nice. And I raised just over £500, I think. But I know that I'd made a difference. But because of how grateful I was for Clapper, for the mums in the groups and other parents and other cleft affected people, I wanted to really make a difference. So I thought, I want to write a book. I want a resource to go out there that is not only cost effective, so we can send it out to parents for free, because I'm donating a bulk of them to the Children's Hospital Cleft team in Birmingham. I also wanted to show a little bit more representation as well. So I don't feel like I've ever really in films or books seen people with cleft. So if I could get these books out there to not just family and friends, but to children with cleft, siblings who are expecting a sibling to have cleft, mums that are expecting a baby, then we can normalise facial differences, and children might not feel so alone. Siblings might not feel so overwhelmed with the thought of their brother or sister being different, and show the beauty, really, because I think that's something you don't always see when you're pregnant. You see the worry, you see the, oh my God, my child's going to be different, it's going to be hard, but you don't actually see how much we as parents enjoy our children, regardless of the struggles we might go through and the hardships. They really are brilliant, amazing, beautiful, bright children. And I just wanted to show a nicer part of the journey rather than just the worry. There should be an article coming out in the news today. I think it's today.
Wow. So, how did you get in touch with the journalist?
So I sent emails out. I just sent a few emails out to local journalists, because if you go on newspaper websites, it'll have a contact form on there. And I just explained what I was doing. I want to raise awareness. Can anyone help me? And a couple of journalists got in touch. So yeah, it was really quite easy, actually.
So would you say your book is mainly for the parents of the babies or for children, like older siblings or children affected themselves?
Anyone really. I'd say the book is a children's book, but it wouldn't hurt for an adult to read it, just as a little bit of comfort, especially if you are expecting a child with cleft. It's comfort, it's nice, it's easy reading, it's not too heavy, but at the same time, it's not too short. I've tried to keep it in between, so there are topics in there such as lightly touching on surgeries and lightly touching on feeding struggles, but without making it too heavy for little ears. So children can be aware that those things are going to happen. It's a way of preparing them, but it's not instant anxiety.
Amazing. I'm so excited to see it. I haven't got it yet. I'm trying to flag the postman down as soon as he comes, and I'm so excited to look into it. So tell us all about the book launch event that you're currently planning.
Oh, yes, I'm really excited. So we have a venue in Sutton Coldfield that are letting us hold the event called the Lounge in Boldmere. The event is 2 till 5 p.m. 31st of May. We are planning to get together. I'm hoping and praying we see some children with cleft or some adults with cleft and really get the sense of community out there. It's going to be a safe place for people to all come together. We have a lady, she's a communication specialist, and she provides singing therapy to children with SEN, but I also thought it'd be really relevant to children with cleft as well, who also have communication struggles. She's called Singing with Jem. Lovely lady. She's brilliant. She's got a beautiful voice. So I think that'll be really fun. We have a guest speaker coming, and I'm just finalising the details, so I will reveal that really shortly, but I think it'll be really interesting, especially for people that are a bit older. The children won't understand too much. But I think it's a really, really important topic to be speaking about. We have mascots coming, face painters, we'll have a bit of music on, a cake sale, the book sale, and little bits that can help raise money that will go towards Clapper.
That sounds so good. I'm still not sure if we can make it. It's 3.5 hours one way, but I'm trying to see if we can combine it with something. And you also have a billboard or an electric screen I saw on your Instagram.
Yeah, so that was one of the local venues on the same road as where we're having the launch event, and they have an electronic screen, and the manager had seen my poster and was like, oh, I'd love to share that. And they did. It was really nice.
Wow, you really thought of everything and have done it.
I'm honestly, I'm quite tenacious when I want to be.
For people who are interested in your book, but they can't make it to the book launch, how else can they get hold of your book?
So I will be launching them online the day after. We're just finalising the details on that.
And where can people follow you and find out more about your book?
Yeah, I will keep everything posted on Instagram, Lily Super Smile. I'll also keep updating on the Clapper community Facebook page. And I also have a TikTok, which is Angry Twin Mom. Don't ask. I used to post quite funny videos, light-hearted videos on there, but now it's a mixture of my usual content mixed with Cleft content and the book. I will try and keep everything as open as possible. I will also be putting QR codes on the back of the book as well, so you can scan it and go straight to our Instagram page. So I'm hoping it's pretty accessible. But if there is anybody that's struggling to use Instagram or TikTok, I can find a way to share my number within the group if people need to drop me a text or anything like that. Because I'd hate for anyone to feel like they're missing out because they don't use certain social media platforms.
If you're now thinking back to the day that you got your diagnosis and maybe putting yourself in the shoes of listeners who may have just had their diagnosis, what is maybe one piece of advice you would give them when they think about what's ahead of them?
I would say it's really important not to worry about things that you can't change. So I spent every day worrying and being upset and really being quite negative, to be honest. And I am nothing but disappointed in myself now because I spent all that time being sad over, one, something that I couldn't change, and two, something that didn't even make me feel sad when she was here. So I really, really would open yourself up, talk about it, tell everyone that's important to you, be open and celebrate yourself, celebrate your pregnancy. And I can't tell people not to be upset, but I absolutely can tell people it will get better and it won't feel like this forever. You just adjust and you keep going. And that's how it is.
That was such a great interview. I'm really excited for your event and to see your book. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really can't wait to see all of the episodes you continue to do. We'll be watching and waiting. It has been lovely meeting you.
Lovely talking to you.
Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Cleft Mama podcast. I hope you get a ton of value out of our time together. You're not alone in this journey. And remember, you're doing an amazing job. If this episode helped you, please follow and share it with another parent who might benefit from it. See you next time.